What's up, guys? We're back with another Marvel Legends review, taking a look at a repaint figure that, frankly, we all knew was coming once we got the maybe less desired version not too long ago. We are, of course, taking a look at the regular green She-Hulk. So we got the gray one, which in typical fashion, you get the one that you probably don't want the most first, so they can get you to double dip, which, of course, I was going to do anyway because I really liked that first figure. So getting the green one was just something I've really been looking forward to. We've got her here in the standard Marvel Legends packaging, so figure there in the window, She-Hulk logo on the bottom. You've got some artwork of her kind of sort of hulking out there on the side, and then of course an even larger shot of her taking up the entirety of the back of the box, sort of going all out, lifting a tree up, and then you've got a bio for Jennifer down there as well. So let's do it. Let's pull her out and take a look. And here we go. Out of the package, our She-Hulk figure. Of course, the She-Hulk that we all probably wanted to get the first time around, or the one that we expected to get. But, you know, like I said, it's a very Hasbro thing to do, to give us the version that you may not want the most, and then they turn around and give you the other one later. So we got that gray She-Hulk, what, a year and a half ago? That was the Super Skrull wave, I believe. The Fantastic Four wave, I think. It's been a while, obviously, but I really like that figure. Despite the fact that it wasn't a traditional She-Hulk, I really like that figure. And this is more of the same, so it's essentially the exact same thing. It just happens to be in green this time around. So if you liked that one and you wanted green, then you're probably going to be happy with this one too. Well, let's go through her, see what she can do, see how she moves around. She is interesting for a female figure because she's sort of in between things, basically. She's not a old style female figure, but she's also not a pinless, double jointed female figure either. She is kind of like a progression of sorts because she is slightly larger than most female figures and then some male figures too. So you've got a head that is kind of locked down. It can't really look up too far. You can maybe kick it back slightly. You can go down really far though. But the hair does get in the way. Yeah, you can get her to look really far down. It's just a ball hinge, so there's no tilt really. You do have rotation. Her hair is going to get in the way a little bit. Arms go all the way out at the shoulders. They, of course, rotate. You've got a bicep swivel. Single jointed elbows, but this is what I'm really talking about when I'm talking about sort of like an intermediary or a progression of sorts, because she has these super deep single joints that allow her to get really far up, really nice range. So this is one of the reasons why I liked her so much the first time around, because she had this crazy arm range. Of course, we're getting double jointed pinless female figures now, so she's kind of already antiquated, but I'm still really happy with the range that she has. You've got hinges and rotation at the wrist, lateral hinges. She's got a great diaphragm cut because it's hidden by the shirt, so you can see a little bit of it. But most of it is very seamless because of how the shirt hangs over top of her abs. So you can rotate her. She goes backwards really far. Not as far forwards, but I mean like almost unnaturally far backwards. And then you've got some good tilt there as well. Again, kind of unnaturally so. There is nothing at the waist, though. It's all in that diaphragm. Legs are kind of limited. They really only go out about this far. They do kick forward all the way, though. You're not going to need her to do the splits, I'm sure, anyway, so it's not a huge deal, I don't think. They don't really kick back, but a little bit. There is a thigh cut. We've got double jointed knees. And then there is no boot cut or a shin swivel on her. She does have a rocker, and then she's got really good unencumbered ankle hinges. So she is really mobile, and honestly, I just like the way she moves. She's not perfect. You know, I would like to see newer arms on her, but these work really good. So they're still pinless, they're just not the new stuff. And then she doesn't have the greatest range throughout the entirety of her legs, but otherwise she moves really nicely, and I absolutely love the midriff ab diaphragm style cut there. It's just really well hidden, and it helps keep the figure relatively seamless from what would have otherwise been a pretty janky looking cut. Now aesthetically, again, this figure is very similar to that first figure that we got in the Super Skrull wave. But she does have one noticeable difference, and that's the fact that this figure comes with a neutral head sculpt in addition to the rageful head sculpt that first figure comes with. That first figure only comes with that really intense head sculpt, but you get a more subdued She-Hulk here. Of course, you know, she can be normal, neutral She-Hulk, and she can sort of Hulk out and get crazy when that other head sculpt is necessary. The other figure that we got was from a more kind of roided out, crazed Hulk, She-Hulk version. So I do like the fact that they included this. Again, though, this figure is essentially the same thing from the neck down. I really like the shirt. Again, the tatters, the rips, the tears, but I really like the way it hides that joint. It's just a nice implementation of that. It maybe isn't something that you would think about at first, but then you sort of see what is peeking through and kind of realize that that would probably be really ugly on this figure otherwise. So it's a nice way to do that. Again, really dig the arms. It's not exactly the modern double jointed pinless female arms that we're getting, but it's still a seamless, very nicely sculpted set of arms here. The tatters on the pants are really good. All of the jeans are sort of textured, so it does have a little bit of feel to it when you run your finger over it. I will say that, you know, you do get the some nastiness when it comes to the pins on this one, because that's just, you know, the kind of the fate of this kind of figure. So she's got black pins to kind of be hidden in some of it. More often than not, it's hidden, but it kind of stands out in particular right here. Not the biggest deal to me. It's just, it's a thing. You're going to see it. But I do think this figure looks fantastic. She's big. She's not bulky big, but she's tall. And of course, she has a lot more mass to her than most other female figures. I just think that this is a really solid entry. Again, I really enjoyed that first figure. So getting the version that I wanted from the get-go really just makes it all the more better, because of course it's a good figure just done up with a different coat of paint. And I think they did a really solid job with the colors on this one. The black works really well in conjunction with the kind of cream shirt. And then, of course, her super, super green skin is really nicely done. Pretty consistent across the board here as well. There is some painted areas versus molded, but for the most part, I think the colors are pretty clean and consistent throughout. No real issues to speak of when it comes to paint slop or mess or anything like that either. And then, of course, like I mentioned, she does come with this new head sculpt that is a more relaxed look. She could be just sort of neutral, maybe standing there for a team shot on your shelf if you want to throw her with some other folks or throw her with the other Hulks or anything like that. And she doesn't have to be the crazed, rageful center of attention. But I do think this one looks really good. Sculpt is nice. Everything is clean and crisp as far as the eyebrows, lips, the eyes. Eyes are nice and green. And then, of course, you've got a lot of wash in this hair as well to bring out what would be kind of shadows and different layers with how the hair is sculpted. So I'm really happy with the overall presentation on this figure. Again, I was already happy with it to begin with in a different color scheme that I wasn't all that familiar with. So to get the classic, more normal She-Hulk is very satisfying now. And again, more of the same good stuff. And then, of course, we have to talk size, at least briefly, because she's so big. So we've got the new She-Hulk in the middle with the previous She-Hulk here on the right. Just to give you an idea of what's different and similar about them aesthetically, they are, again, the same figure from the neck down, but this one has the new head sculpt and then, of course, a very different color scheme. And then a regular Marvel Legends female. Here's Dazzler, because I was working with some heralds to figure out what's going on for my Galactus eventually, and of course she was a herald in an issue of What If, so I had to get her out. So you've got a normal Marvel Legends female, and you can see that she is quite a bit smaller. I mean, they're about a head difference, and then of course the bulk aspect. She-Hulk is a lot beefier. She's not huge, but she is a substantial amount more when it comes to overall plastic. Then let's take She-Hulk aside, well, that one, and here we go with the 80th Hulk to give you an idea of what they're going to look like together. So she's absolutely dwarfed by him, but that's pretty much any Marvel Legends, really. And then here is a G.I. Joe classified figure for another Hasbro, but of course not Marvel Legends. And she is still quite a bit larger than even a normal sort of 6-inch male figure. There's still a lot more to her. And then let's take Storm Shadow aside, and here is a Mythic Legion. So here is Belphegor, so a 7-inch style figure, and she more stacks up with these in terms of overall height. He's got a little bit of bulk on him at being a male figure, but I think the sizing here kind of comes through pretty well. And then for another figure that's not Hasbro, here is the Figuarts Goku. So the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, and you can see, of course, she towers over him just like pretty much everything else does, but I think that gives a pretty good idea of how tall she is. She's not super beefy, so that doesn't really scale up too much. She's not going to be really thick compared to a lot of other figures, but she's going to have some height on just about anything normal 112. And then as far as accessories goes, this is, again, kind of the same thing we saw last time, but that's not a negative, because I absolutely love this head sculpt that we get for She-Hulk here. So this is, of course, her more rageful head sculpt, the the more hulked out, very angry, and you've got kind of the windswept hair. You've got the, lock of hair that's going over her face. It does get in the way of her face a little bit, but she looks really good. I'm really happy with the overall color, with the lipstick, with the eyebrows, with the yellow for the eyes themselves, and then the hair itself, of course, has a decent amount of paint in it. So there's kind of like a black and gray scheme just to add shadow and add some depth to it. And then similar to the first figure, we do get some more hands. So she's got fists on her in the box. And then you get a set of style pose gripping hands. They're not gripping, but they're ones you can use for grappling or, holding on to a larger object, like a big pipe maybe, if you wanted to do something like that to go into a more Hulk aesthetic. But I think this looks fantastic. I'm really happy with this head sculpt. Again, I liked it the first time around, so it's more of the same, just in a different color. So yeah, this is a really solid figure. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I liked the first one, and this is the version that I truly wanted. So how could I not like this one? They didn't really improve her in any way, outside of giving her that new head sculpt, which I do really like, although I'll probably use the angry one exclusively because I just really like that one. But the color scheme looks really good. Paint on the legs is really nice. Really dig the tattered shirt and how it hides that torso cut for the 15th time. I love the implementation of those super deep elbow joints because of course it does allow for some really good range on her. And then overall, she's just a fun figure. I really like She-Hulk in general, and she's going to be fun to mix in with Hulk, with Red Hulk, with Gray Hulk, with however many Hulks you want to throw her with, and just to add a little bit of variety on your Hulk shelf without adding just another massive monstrous figure. So that's going to do it for this look at the Marvel Legends She-Hulk. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.